Nobody is buying these luxury brands anymore, and now they're slashing prices just to survive. These were the brands with endless waitlists and sold out everything. But today, stores are empty, resale value is crashing, and the same companies that once raised prices every few months are now quietly discounting items they couldn't give away. This isn't just a sales slump, it's a reckoning, because the old rules don't work anymore. The logos, the hype, the sky-high prices, people just aren't buying the fantasy, literally. Today, we're looking at 9 luxury brands no one's buying anymore. The ones quietly slashing prices, closing stores, and pretending everything's fine while the market tells a different story. Number 1 will shock you, so you might want to stick around for that. Let's start with number 9, a brand that once redefined cool but may have taken its own image a little too far. Number 9, Gucci. You know how a song can be so overplayed that you start to hate it? That's Gucci right now. There was a time when Gucci could do no wrong. You'd see those double G belts everywhere. Airports, red carpets, your Instagram feed, maybe even your cousin's graduation photo. It was loud, weird, luxurious, and somehow cool. Under Alessandro Michele, Gucci turned chaos into a statement. People wanted to be part of it. The velvet suits, the snake motifs, the vintage meets future look. It felt like the brand was on a permanent high. But now, the hype hangover has hit hard. In 2025, Gucci's sales dropped by nearly 25%, wiping billions off Kering's books. Their stores, once packed with influencers and tourists, are suddenly quiet. You can almost hear the soft jazz over the sound of panic in the back office. And here's where it gets crazy. Gucci, the same brand that built its image on "we never go on sale," is now quietly discounting. Not in big flashing red letters, of course. Luxury never admits desperation that loudly. But those private sale invites and exclusive client previews going around? Yeah, that's corporate code for "we need to move stock fast." They've got warehouses full of unsold inventory, especially from that awkward transition period when Michelle left and the brand wasn't sure what it wanted to be. And those bags, the ones that used to have wait lists, they're now popping up on resale sites at nearly half their original price. People used to fight for Gucci, now they're scrolling past it. Because here's the truth. The brand that built its empire on excess got caught in a market that's over it. Consumers want calm, subtle, timeless. Gucci's trying to pivot. New creative director, new vibe, less sparkle, but the damage is done. Once you've trained customers to expect hype, discounts feel like defeat. It's like watching the life of the party suddenly realize the music's stopped. And if Gucci, with all its global fame, is this deep in trouble, you can only imagine what's happening to the others. Let's head over to number 8, a brand that's been trying to save its heritage image for years by doing exactly what's killing it. Number 8, Burberry? Burberry was supposed to be untouchable. That check pattern, instantly recognizable, the trench coat, legendary. For over a century, Burberry stood for quiet British sophistication, the kind of brand you wore, not to show off, but to whisper, "I've arrived." But fast forward to now, and it feels like Burberry's lost in the fog it built. The company has been through so many revamps in the last 5 years, you'd think they were rebooting a TV series. They brought in new creative directors, swapped logos, stripped back the check, then brought it back again. It's like watching someone try on personalities in a fitting room. And the numbers? Brutal. In 2025, Burberry's operating profit collapsed by nearly 88%. Yep, you heard that right. Revenue fell sharply too, especially in Asia, their biggest growth market. Stores are overstocked, traffic's down, and the brand is slashing prices just to keep things moving. Burberry, the same brand that used to pride itself on exclusivity, is now doing flash sales. Seriously, a heritage sale event popped up in select boutiques, which is a fancy way of saying we're quietly panicking. Part of the problem is that Burberry keeps chasing trends instead of setting them. They tried to appeal to the streetwear crowd, then pivoted back to classic elegance. They launched loud campaigns with rappers, then pulled back to beige minimalism. One season you're seeing oversized logos, the next they're pretending they never happened. It's confusing, and confusion is poison in luxury. You can't charge $3,000 for a coat when no one knows what you stand for anymore. Customers, especially younger ones, want identity. They want to buy into a story. But Burberry's story right now feels messy, like it's being rewritten mid-sentence. The worst part? Resale sites are flooded with Burberry trenches. Once an investment piece, they're now reselling for a few $100s, barely the price of a mid-tier Michael Kors bag. And that's how you know the brand's in trouble. When even loyal fans stop treating your products as collectibles, the luxury part of luxury disappears fast. Burberry isn't dying because people hate it. It's dying because no one knows what it is anymore. And if that's the story of British heritage gone wrong, wait till you see what's happening to one of Italy's oldest luxury houses, a brand that's fighting extinction with nothing but nostalgia. Number 7. Salvatore Ferragamo. There was a time when Ferragamo was the quiet powerhouse of Italian luxury. No gimmicks, no flashy logos, just pure craftsmanship. Their shoes and leather bags used to be a silent status symbol, something your boss wore to board meetings when subtle wealth was still a thing. But somewhere along the way, Ferragamo got stuck in the past. While other brands evolved, Ferragamo just stayed Ferragamo. For years, they relied on the same playbook: muted colors, predictable silhouettes, and the occasional campaign featuring someone who looked like they just walked out of a yacht club. Then Gen Z happened. The world shifted to bold, creative storytelling. Even old-school luxury houses like Dior and Prada started experimenting. Meanwhile, Ferragamo kept whispering when everyone else was performing. By 2025, that silence had a price. Sales dropped sharply, especially in Asia, their supposed growth market. Their CEO resigned, the stock tanked, and analysts started asking the question no luxury brand wants to hear: is Ferragamo still relevant? To make things worse, their bags just aren't moving. Walk into a Ferragamo boutique and you'll find collections that look fine, beautifully made, yes, but not exciting. You won't see lines outside their stores. You'll see sales associates politely adjusting displays, hoping someone walks in. And in luxury, once people stop talking about you, you're invisible. Ferragamo tried to fix it. They brought in Maximilian Davis, a talented young designer with serious potential. His debut collections were sleek, modern, even a little daring. But when your brand's average customer is over 50 and allergic to change, reinventing yourself isn't easy. The real red flag, though, is the pricing. Ferragamo has been slashing prices and running private sales more frequently than ever before, something almost unthinkable for an Italian heritage brand a decade ago. You'll find Ferragamo bags that once cost over $2,000, now going for $1,000 or less on resale platforms. Some department stores have quietly started discounting older collections too, which in luxury terms is like waving a white flag. They're not bad, they're just forgettable, and in 2025, forgettable is fatal. Ferragamo doesn't need a new collection. It needs a rebirth, because right now, nostalgia isn't saving it, it's burying it. And if you think that's sad, wait till you see what's happening to another heritage brand that tried to play it safe and ended up disappearing in plain sight. Number 6, Mulberry. Mulberry used to be the pride of British craftsmanship. Soft leather, timeless designs, and that understated charm that made you feel posh without trying too hard. The Alexa bag? It was a cultural moment. Everyone from Kate Moss to Meghan Markle had one. For a while, it was the bag that said, "I've made it, but tastefully." Then, the shine wore off. Over the last few years, Mulberry's been quietly struggling. Their global sales dropped nearly 21% in 2025, and that's after a long stretch of restructuring and hopeful marketing about a comeback that never really happened. The truth is, Mulberry didn't just lose customers, it lost its place in the conversation. In an era where fashion is faster, louder, and more experimental, Mulberry stayed polite, too polite. Their collections have that nice but not exciting energy, the kind that gets a polite nod but never a second look. And here's where things really went sideways: their pricing. Mulberry used to be the accessible luxury bridge between high street and high end, but over the years, their prices crept up into Louis Vuitton territory without the global clout to justify it. Bags that used to retail for $900 are now priced at $1,800 or more, which is wild when you can buy a used Chanel for that on the resale market. Consumers noticed, sales didn't. Now, Mulberry's sitting on unsold inventory and a fading brand image. They've been rolling out subtle discounts and limited friends and family sales, something they once swore they'd never do. Even worse, the resale market has completely abandoned them. You can find Mulberry bags in pristine condition going for less than $300 online, which basically puts them in designer purgatory. Too expensive to be mainstream, too unexciting to be luxury. And while brands like Burberry are at least trying to reinvent themselves, Mulberry feels stuck. They're still chasing that old Alexa magic, releasing updated versions, reissues, remixes, but nostalgia can't hold an empire together. It's a reminder that in fashion, being classic only works if people still care. And right now, Mulberry's biggest problem isn't bad design, it's invisibility. But the next brand didn't just fade quietly, it's spiraling in public, and the numbers behind it are even uglier. Number 5, Michael Kors. Michael Kors used to be the cool middle ground, the brand you'd buy when you couldn't afford Chanel, but you still wanted to look expensive. The gold MK logo, the shiny totes, those jet-set watches, they were everywhere. It was the bag of choice for every mall influencer circa 2015. But today, walk into any outlet mall and you'll see racks of Michael Kors bags with red tags hanging like confetti. That's not strategy, that's survival. The brand's parent company, Capri Holdings, recently reported a 16% sales drop, and Kors took the biggest hit. Inventories piled up, traffic's slowing down, and stores are quietly running friends and family discounts every other month. Even the flagship stores, once designed to feel like private clubs, now look like they're mid-season clearance zones. What really killed Michael Kors was overexposure. They went from aspirational to accessible, and then straight to oversaturated. When everyone has it, no one wants it. That MK logo, once a status symbol, now screams on sale. It's the same problem that hit Coach years ago, but even Coach managed to bounce back by leaning into heritage and rebranding. Kors, meanwhile, is still chasing trends that feel 5 years late. They tried collaborations, new ambassadors, celebrity, endorsements, but nothing sticks. The brand's caught between its outlet identity and its luxury aspirations. Too mass market to command prestige, too pricey to compete with mid-tier brands. That's the danger zone of fashion, when your customer base disappears from both ends. And it's not just perception, the numbers prove it. On resale platforms, Kors bags lose value faster than almost any other luxury brand. Some models that retailed for $400 barely sell for $60 now. In the secondhand world, that's basically a red flag saying, nobody's looking for this. The irony? Michael Kors built its empire on accessibility, making luxury feel attainable. Now, that same accessibility is the reason people moved on. Because in 2025, luxury isn't about logos anymore. It's about emotion, craftsmanship, scarcity. The things Kors traded away for volume. They can keep slashing prices and calling it exclusive sales. But let's be honest. Once you're a regular at the discount rack, it's hard to get back to the velvet rope crowd. And if you think Michael Kors is struggling, wait till you see what's happening to its flashy sibling, a brand that went from red carpets to red tags almost overnight. Number 4, Versace. There was a time when Versace didn't just make luxury, it defined it. Gold chains, Baroque prints, leather, excess. The brand was pure attitude. Versace wasn't just selling clothes, it was selling power. It was bold, loud, unapologetic, the kind of fashion that walked into a room and owned it. But in 2025, Versace feels tired. And that's something you never thought you'd say about a brand that once ruled the runway. Under Capri Holdings, Versace was supposed to go global. More stores, more drops, more hype. Instead, it got overexposed, overproduced, and over-discounted. The company's most recent reports show a 21% sales drop, with margins shrinking and inventory stacking up. That's corporate talk for, we made too much and no one's buying it. Versace tried to fix it the usual way. Celebrity campaigns, new capsule collections, runway theatrics, but even those lost their sparkle. When every pop star and influencer has worn your pieces, it's hard to stay exclusive. What used to scream iconic now just whispers everywhere. Here, walk into a Versace boutique now and you'll notice something strange. The displays are full, the staff is polite, but the energy, gone. And if you're lucky, or unlucky, depending how you see it, you might be offered a client-only preview sale. Translation, markdowns for VIPs so they can clear stock without calling it a sale. Even worse, their bags, once a symbol of fiery Italian glamour, are struggling hard on resale platforms. The La Medusa line, which launched to big hype a few years ago, is now being listed at half price or less, and still sitting unsold for months. The reason? Versace hasn't adapted. The new luxury buyer doesn't want to be drenched in gold logos. They want sophistication, subtlety, storytelling. Versace's identity is still stuck in an era of excess, and that used to be its superpower, but now it's its downfall. And the recent whispers about Capri Holdings selling off Versace to cut losses, that says it all. You don't put a house like Versace on the market unless something's seriously broken. It's a classic case of too much, too soon. Versace tried to be everywhere and lost the one thing every luxury brand needs, mystique. Now, if Versace's slipping this fast, wait till you see what's happening to its more delicate cousin, a brand built on glamour and red carpets that's finding itself completely out of step with reality. Number 3, Jimmy Choo. There was a time when Jimmy Choo wasn't just a brand, it was a fantasy. The kind of name that lived rent-free in every fashion lover's head. Those crystal-embellished heels weren't just shoes, they were dreams on a runway. They were what you bought for your wedding, your first big promotion, your red carpet moment, even if the red carpet was just the aisle at your cousin's reception. And then came Sex and the City. One line, "I lost my shoes" changed everything. Overnight, Jimmy Choo became shorthand for luxury, confidence, and the promise that maybe, just maybe, if you wore the right shoes, the world might treat you differently. But the world changed faster than Jimmy Choo did. In 2025, the brand that once symbolized untouchable glamour is now, well, on sale. Capri Holdings, the parent company that also owns Michael Kors and Versace, reported that Jimmy Choo's sales have been slipping quarter after quarter. Their boutiques are quiet, online searches are dropping, and even fashion editors have stopped pretending there's a Choo comeback coming. The problem isn't that the shoes are bad, they're still beautifully made. The problem is that nobody's buying into the idea anymore. The fantasy has expired. The modern luxury shopper isn't chasing Cinderella moments. They want comfort, versatility, and longevity. A $1,200 pair of stilettos doesn't exactly fit into a world that's obsessed with sneakers, ballet flats, and quiet luxury. While brands like Bottega Veneta are thriving with understated style, Jimmy Choo's still out here covered in sequins, hoping nostalgia will pay the bills. It's not. Their heels, once impossible to find, are now overflowing on resale sites. Some listed for $150, 200 tops, and even those aren't moving fast. Retailers, desperate to clear stock, are running unadvertised sales that would have been unthinkable 10 years ago. The brand that once sold status is now competing with its own markdowns. Jimmy Choo's biggest issue is the same thing that once made it great. It's trapped in its own fantasy. The red carpet doesn't sell shoes anymore. The everyday world does. They tried to pivot, sneakers, handbags, even casual lines. But every move feels like a desperate attempt to stay relevant in a world that's already moved on. The sparkle didn't fade overnight. It burned out slowly, one discount at a time. And if Jimmy Choo's struggling to find its footing, the next brand on this list is already running out of runway, literally. Number 2, Bally. Bally was once the kind of brand that whispered luxury, Swiss precision, Italian craftsmanship, subtle confidence. The name alone carried that old money air, elegant, effortless, and just a little mysterious. If Gucci was the rock star, Bally was the quiet billionaire in a perfectly tailored suit. But in 2025, that whisper has become silence. The brand has been struggling to stay relevant in a world that rewards personality, not pedigree. Bally's biggest problem? It doesn't know who it's talking to anymore. It's caught between trying to appeal to younger buyers who crave boldness and older loyalists who still think Bally's at its best when it's understated. That identity crisis has left it in luxury limbo. Too traditional for Gen Z, too forgettable for Gen X. And the numbers back it up. Bally has been quietly closing stores in the US and parts of Europe over the last year. While insiders talk about warehouses full of unsold inventory, the company's revenue reportedly fell sharply across multiple regions, and the brand has been relying heavily on discreet, private sales to clear product. Translation: discounts that never make it to the website but are whispered to loyal customers. Even the boutiques that remain open are showing signs of strain. Smaller foot traffic, limited new collections, and an atmosphere that feels more like a museum than a luxury store. And that's deadly in retail. Bally's leadership knows it too. They've been trying to reinvent themselves. They hired Luigi Villaseñor, the American designer who made streetwear brand Rude a cult favorite, as creative director, hoping to inject some youth into their lineup. The idea was bold. The execution? Not so much. After just 1 year, Rigi left, citing creative differences, and Bally was back to square one, an identity crisis with a hefty price tag. Now, Bally's slashing prices to move bags and shoes that once stood for exclusivity. Their classic scribe loafers and summit bags, once luxury staples, can now be found on discount sites for nearly 40% off. It's the kind of quiet fire sale that screams louder than any press release. And maybe that's the saddest part. Bally isn't bad. It's just invisible. In a world where luxury is louder, faster, and digital first, Bally's elegance feels stuck in another century. If Bally doesn't find a way to reinvent itself soon, it won't matter how refined its leather is. Because right now, refinement doesn't sell. Relevance does. And that brings us to number 1, a brand so iconic, so recognizable, that seeing it struggle almost doesn't feel real. But trust me, it's happening. Number 1, Tod's. You know things are bad when a brand built on quiet luxury goes silent for real. Tod's, the Italian label that once defined effortless sophistication, is now facing the kind of crisis no one saw coming. For decades, They've been the go-to for people who hated showing off. Suede loafers, buttery leather bags, minimal logos. If Gucci was the loud dinner guest, Tod's was the one sipping wine at the end of the table, quietly flexing with perfect taste. But in 2025, that kind of quiet isn't classy anymore. It's invisible. The luxury market is changing fast. Brands like Loro Piana and Bottega Veneta have perfected the stealth wealth game. They took Tod's whole aesthetic, added storytelling, scarcity, and cultural relevance, and ran away with it. Meanwhile, Tod's is stuck, making beautiful things for an audience that's slowly disappearing. Just look at the numbers. In early 2025, Tod's announced it would delist from the stock market and go private. That's corporate speak for, we're in trouble and we need to fix it away from the public eye. Sales in China and Europe, two of their biggest markets, have been declining, and their once loyal base has aged out. Younger buyers, they're not even looking in Tod's direction. And that's the real problem. Luxury today isn't just about craftsmanship, it's about conversation. You have to make people feel something. You have to give them a reason to talk about you. Tod's hasn't done that in years. They're producing beautiful, high-quality products, but they're quiet in a market that's screaming for attention. Even their iconic gomino-driving loafers, once a status symbol for understated wealth, are collecting dust online. You can find them discounted by 30, 40, even 50% on some sites. A shocking move for a brand that used to pride itself on timeless exclusivity. Their handbags? Same story. Perfectly stitched, incredibly made, and sitting unsold. Tod's didn't collapse because it got worse. It collapsed because everyone else got louder. In a time when luxury means emotion, innovation, and a little drama, Tod's is still whispering in a crowded room. And in fashion, if you're not being heard, you're gone. The irony? Tod's helped invent the very kind of luxury that everyone's chasing now. But by the time the world caught up, they'd already faded into the background. And that's the brutal truth. In today's luxury market, being timeless means nothing if no one's watching the clock. So there you have it. 9 luxury brands that once ruled the world, now struggling to keep the lights on. From Gucci's hype hangover to Tod's quiet fade out, it's clear the luxury world's not untouchable anymore. The game has changed. Faster trends, smarter shoppers, and a generation that values meaning over monograms. What used to be exclusive now feels desperate. The velvet rope is fraying, and the brands that once set the rules are suddenly playing catch-up. But maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe this collapse is just a reset, a chance for luxury to remember what made it special in the first place: craft, heritage, and emotion. Because at the end of the day, people still love beautiful things. They just don't want to be sold illusions anymore. So as these brands scramble to stay relevant, one question remains: who's next? Who's quietly losing their sparkle while pretending everything's fine? Let me know in the comments which luxury brand you think is next to fall. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button so more people see what's really happening behind the glass walls of high fashion. And of course, subscribe because you won't want to miss the next video.